know that sometimes police act out of what is expected of them, and that's why we've got institutions like ICT to get that kind of conduct. And in a situation of Matala, where he sees his children were put on the floor and pointed to the gun, and the wife was assaulted and all of that.
So I'd like to give you an opportunity to say anything
you agree with me?
concerning the fact that state you'd like to emphasize other than what is
It is an unacceptable conduct. No African child should be
particularly about to be returned.
the case is not it doesn't mean, and I'm not saying it happened, but if it happened, it's something that you should be able to condemn. And when it was uttered by Matlala, for sure, you would have developed some interest to verify the facts that it really happened in a manner in which Matlala is saying it.
Let's proceed.
Okay, thank you.
You are under protection from the chairperson.
Thank you. Good morning once again, Honorable Member.
General Kumalo.
Indeed, we try by all means.
General Kumalo, part of the reason why I also sort of rushed General to have an opportunity to speak to the reason that we heard from the minister as to why the PKTT was disbanded, and to deal with that in your statement. And another pushing
after the evidence that
I wanted to give General an opportunity to just tell us whether the reasons mentioned by the minister were justified,
with the
and
operational
if not,
commander
in what respect
to confirm.
whether
But as the Honorable Member is rightfully pointing out,
a valid justification for the statement of the
maybe that
PKTT.
are beyond our view. From the reports that we
You've
received
mentioned
from
a
the
few
team,
in there, and so if you could just
come forward, not to us,
220 in your statement.
the structures like
Maybe if you just start off
when you got arrested at the
why these reasons are not
how did you feel about it, that you get to be subjected to that kind of treatment as a senior police officer? Did you know about it before? And why do you think they treated you the way they did? Because ordinarily when a person is senior like you, who is not necessarily a fugitive, who you can easily make an appointment with through the law, and so on and so forth. What really transpired there?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Maybe then.
Thank you, Honorable Member.
To try and summarize
not feel right.
My input
One had to
the
look
decisions.
back.
Let me start by saying
Meant that one has done
one learned of the reasons provided in
for the past
to the disbandment letter.
and one luckily had
One could not
and then one had to understand targeting because already the campaign was on
from the 6th of December.
both
It made one believe that that might be
environment division as well as PKTT. It did not feel well,
but getting
then one had to
that may even afterwards,
it was
because
clear
one
that the
is turning them as
the
the
objective
attacks.
was really
Because it's
if
reasons
you
that are
may
coming way
out of
after
all the rest of the
junior
were called
the highlight
to come. I'm the only one who was not called.
starting maybe
Was
with
then
the
arrested at the airport.
the
where
web
it happened.
study
And
in
you'll agree with me
relation to the
that
murder in robbery,
arrests like that are not
where
conducted
the
by
minister is condemning
senior police officers like a
the
general
recommendation
capital arrest, a
in
general. Ordinarily, it will
relation
be
to this
a very
website
junior member of the police,
was
junior
that
than
the
Joe,
PKTT
who comes and
sanction
effect the arrest.
needs to be transferred to
Yes, I
Medal.
agree, Honorable, through you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Member.
What the
It
capacities
was
direct focus on the more
junior members, even the senior investigating officer
have indicated
was not present.
on.
So the
It
whole
has to
SAPS
cannot be compared to
that is working at the airport
has
was
been
activated. One
for a
could hear
particular
the
purpose.
discussion
And
then
in the task team, it's
from
where
the
they are
arresting
the different
officers from IDEC
expertise
as we are
together
giving
to work
thanking
together.
the chief commanders and division commander of the well executed operation.
Investigating
So
officers to
it was
establish
something
the
that
murder and robbery.
not supposed to
So
be done like that,
comparing the
but
task
it
team
did
to
happen
the
as
units, according to me,
You know the
does
junior
not
who
make
arrested him.
a reason.
yes, I know my arresting officer.
And
Is there a sergeant Ndlovu in the
purpose
PKTT?
of the 2019 web study
Sergeant Ndlovu,
was to
might
the
be
feasibility
one I
of the establishment
cannot but recall
specialized
offhand,
units within
the one that
it was
coming
not
to
meant
my mind as
for the
I
assessment of the task
is the one
teams.
who was previously
Another misinterpretation by the minister on the web studies where he
Now that
recommends
you know this
teams to be
junior arresting officer,
subjected to an impact
did you send
analysis
any of the PKTT members to
strategic
Eastern Cape
management
to
in the provinces
surveillance the
to ensure
arresting
the
officers
security
president?
of the existing
no, I've
teams.
never done that.
So
Was there
even
ever
that
such an
document
allegation brought to
is not
attention that there is a
recommending
PKTT
this
member who's
establishment.
surveilling the house of the
Recommends
arresting officer?
the impact
No, I've
analysis
never
and
received
feasibility
such a complaint.
study
I would have
to be
attended.
conducted, but
And you will agree that if such a thing
the
happened,
provincial
it
task
will be
teams, it's not
somehow
helping to the national.
something that seeks to, in a way, impede the arresting officer
was to determine the implementation status
in your
of the
language.
specialized units.
That is correct, Honorable Chair.
The
And
minister
we
further
have to discourage it.
8.9
Indeed
and
happened,
8.10.
but then one is not in control of, or one cannot say whichever environment is investigating whoever cannot do it because of that. But if it's done for the purpose of intimidating the arresting officer,
existing task
needs to be
teams.
condemned.
Instead,
It's
it
not
says
right.
any task team that is established.
General, are you aware of the Inspector General of Intelligence findings against you and members of the management of the crime intelligence?
And the second one
and
talks
this
to
report has
the
led to the
current task
suspension of the
teams to be
Inspector General of
subjected to an impact analysis
which
as I
certain findings
indicated.
about it.
That is what was supposed to
Other than what one picked up
correct procedure
on the
of
media,
disbanding
there is no official report, and it's not even supposed because our
impact
attention
analysis was
that
supposed
one
to
has
be
just read
conducted
and
first.
picked up on the media.
In terms of budgetary
Do you have
constraints,
a security
lack of
clearance?
oversight of the work of
Yes,
PKTT,
Honorable
I-
Chair, I have two of them.
And then that report says that one of those
the oversight
clearance was
mechanism
fraudulent
that
and
was and still in place for the PKTT. Out of all the task teams that
It is not true, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. The first security clearance was issued to me after crime intelligence has conducted their vetting investigation since 2018 when I applied, and then the process continued up until then before my
He
appointment,
was not the
when
only
then the National Commissioner inquired as to how far is the process, and then
we had and we still have
finalized the
that
process.
in place since
I was issued then
2017,
with the secretary.
long before the PKTT in 2018,
You
and
spoke
they are
about
still in place even today.
some
So the issue of budgetary
members
constraints
of
cannot be
SAPS
applicable
was trying to destabilize
PKTT
the
only.
Swartz murder case. Got involved in
On the next paragraphs, I'm indicating
in an attempt to destabilize this case. And
those operations that are still on.
Is there anyone who's arrested?
On before 2018 and are still on.
The whole investigation around the allegations of
where we are reflecting to the contradiction
is underway. It's a
during
wide
the very same
investigation
December.
because
The minister, when the
starts
minister then
from
wrote the
threats
disbandment
that were
earlier,
made
that
against the
same
members
month, on
during
the
the
9th
aid
of December,
application
the
stage.
minister
Right
directed
throughout the operation of the sixth.
addressing sexual violence.
It is a
The
very
information
wide
note in relation
investigation, but
to the formation
the
of this
docket,
task team
some of the
indicates
dockets
that the minister has asked
the
Major General Zulu due to the
another allegation you make
families
is
of
that
the victims
this
of
there was senior
which is normally the
members
same reason
of SAPS
that the task
were
team
mingling with
formed
the
for.
implicated
So in the
parties
same month,
or some
in
members of the
December,
cartel.
the task team is formed.
What
In the same
made
month, another task team
many
is
of us
disbanded.
so
And then the
interested
extension
in
of
your
other
appearance is that
teams.
the national commissioner, when he came here,
Summing
and
up the last reason
General Mkwana, when they came here, they said
against the PKTT.
you were going to give us more meat on many things that they said, including giving us names of the people who
power
might be implicated in some of these things.
From members who were part of
Who of the senior members of SAPS was mingling with the cartels? And in which event
at all
were they found
levels,
mingling?
we have never received such complaints, so as we are able to provide
the issue of mingling. Let me first start, Honorable Chair, by maybe then reminding the House on what I said. There is a thin line between the members of the cartel of any syndicate and wanting to paint the picture that they are closer to the high-ranking officials or politicians, and also between them being working
Excuse me.
as I've indicated, that is in part of the investigation. Senior officers are identified, and then the investigation to determine how far the relationship is ongoing.
Yeah, but who are
from paragraph 240? We are putting with the correct profile.
persons of interest. I mean, the witnesses
from when she was dismissed.
They got extremely scared when they were invited into a social gathering, and then they found
without declaring that he
in a
was
party,
dismissed.
even
Hence,
playing
then he was dismissed
their
again in
phones,
the SAPS because of that.
as a way of demonstrating that actually they are very familiar
Then
with
she developed hatred for SAPS. That is the profile that we have.
it shouldn't be a difficult
Up until
thing
such
to
time that she formed the
share with
WhatsApp
the
group
South Africans
of
that
SAPS members for change.
the
That is
senior
made
author
up
was
of all
found in a house or in a
members that
party
are dismissed from
of a
the
person of
SAPS.
interest. The person of interest may not mention, but
Her
a
to
senior
talk anything
official
negative
commanding
about
senior investigating
So
rank compared to them.
She says
Some even get
it needs to be verified before
the next thing they find this
on paragraph 240, we are mentioning just one example where
we should be able to get names, because that is the whole idea why we're not here to just search in the air. We want something that is touchable, something tangible, so that when we live here, we're able to make the necessary recommendations and say whatever needs to happen, whoever, if we find that indeed there is some involvement with wrong people who are involved in destroying the
So
future.
it's very baffling that the minister will
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. Referring to the evidence under oath led by witnesses A, B, and C, Madanga Commission, they are referring to some events where then they will be called to attend some social gatherings, and then they will find senior officers also being together with the persons of interest in the investigation. They mentioned the Provincial Commissioner of Gauteng, the General Shibiri that I referred on yesterday. I'm not sure because I do not have that as part of their statements.
When did the National Commissioner ask you to take over the investigation which brought Matlana to your side?
You do not deny that the phones were on, but you provide an explanation.
I might not have the exact date, but it is supposed to be around October, November, when he invited me to a meeting where there was a complaint about that investigation. The complainant then
no one else other than
the frustrations and unhappiness about the fact that the local was investigated by a team that was reporting into the Deputy National Commission Crime Detection, which the allegation during the meeting
addressing the issue of
very close to
why the cell phones were on.
whom the complainant was involved in the
phone was seized
it was during that meeting
on the
that the
14th
National Commission
and were received by our digital forensic investigation on the 15th of May.
2020.
And then on the 30th of
November
May,
2020,
the cell phone was handed over to
we had our
National Commission, the digital forensic.
When a National Commissioner was asked a question about whether he knows Matlana
suspicions
early 2025, he said, "No, I did not know the owner of the company. I also did not know who Vusi Matlala is."
But then we made
But he
sure
referred Vusi Matlala to you in October, November 2024. And when asked whether he knows Vusi Matlala, he says, "No, I don't know the person." And that is in 2025.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Even myself, I did not know him. He was, I think, on my affidavit, I introduced that subject, that the name was introduced to us for the first time at meeting, and then we
he was still working on the phone,
start our investigation by identifying the person from the National Commissioner's point of view.
And
the name was mentioned by the complainant in our presence, both of us. So I won't be in a
After
position
the
to
phone
indicate if
content
he knew
was
before
downloaded
that
in the
meeting.
chat between
Nobody
Matala
referred
and Kofi
him to you in October 2024.
some of it is the one
When
that
he's
I was
asked
checking
early
to.
2025, he says,
Addressing the
I don't
issue
know
of
such a person.
possible division. The screenshots of these chats were taken.
Yes,
which explains
Honorable
that
Chair, as I'm
it's
indicating, one
possible
cannot be
for
sure
a
whether
person
knowing was
to say
reference to
my phone was still active
knowing a person
even after
physically,
my
so
arrest,
knowing
because
that
the
there is
metadata
with
activity
Matala.
is
The
still
name,
recording
as I've
when
mentioned,
our
was mentioned
DFIs are
to
working
both of
on
us
the phone.
by the complainant during that
That is not an
meeting.
indication of
From my
interest.
side, I can confirm that it was for
And
the
then,
first
you
time
know,
hearing
just
about
to
the name of Simati.
go through some of
So they
the
referred the matter in relation to
evidence
the
before
case
the
of Mr.
committee.
Jerry
And this is from paragraph
Bogasho.
258
That is
of your
correct.
statement.
Yesterday, you
Now,
spoke
Mr.
about
Matala in front of
coincidences.
the
You are
committee
a head of crime intelligence. You
denied
can't
that
speak
he
about
has dual
coincidences
citizenship, and
to
he
us
denied that he
because
has an Eswatini ID.
if observed such
But in
pattern
your statement, paragraph
and you are
263, you
suspicious
said
that
that
there
the
is
statement
something
from
that
Mr. Matala was
is
false
fishy
and that
here
he
because
was
this cannot just be
he was publicly
coincidences. That's why we are
it was
bringing them
false that
to
he
our
doesn't
attention.
have dual
You ran an
citizenship, and
operation
in
on the
your
6th of
statement,
December,
um,
and then at the same
attached
time,
some
a
documentation
person,
which confirmed that
Advocate
he in fact
Johnson,
had
writes
dual
a
citizenship,
letter demanding the docket,
not being
and then you
honest.
say it's a
The
coincidence. A
committee
head of intelligence can't
simply
speak
wanted to
like that.
explain the nature of the
You ought to
evidence
tell
that
us
we
if
used to
there
obtain
was
to
connection
the
between this
statement that
demanding of the
he
docket
does in fact have dual
in
citizenship.
relation to the cases that were opened by Honorable
Indeed,
Adams
it is us who
and
identify
the operations
our
of the 6th of December,
investigation that
because
there is a possibility of
the whole
Mr.
intention
Matala
is to
having
find
a
out
second identity proof.
if there are senior people
And
in
then
the
we follow up that
police,
investigation
the
and
NPA, in the judiciary, who are trying by all means to protect these criminals.
in Parliament,
So
as well as
when
the court,
dockets are being demanded, on the same day you're running an operation, and then you are suspicious that this might be used to destabilize this investigation you are busy with.
photo of
Have you conducted any investigation about that to ascertain yourself that there is criminal activity that is happening here which seeks to protect criminals, both by Advocate Johnson and Honorable Member Adams?
And then
Thank you, Honorable Chair. At the present moment, I am referring
and that it was
to
issued
as
with a major
co-incidents
procedural
which
error
are raising suspicions, but one being involved in the case that
is
is
not a
at
citizen.
court. One is not in a position to
They further confirmed that the personal
counter
identity
investigation to confirm that investigation will take place when the time is right. Hence, now we are referring to those coincidence.
The court was only registered 8 days later.
So the story that you tampered with, not necessarily you, but that Matala's phones were tampered with,
which is
an allegation made by Advocate Johnson and Matala himself. That story is not correct.
The Home Affairs official,
according to us, that story is not correct. We have the proof and the statement from our digital forensic as to activities that we conducted on those phones. Whoever is alleging the deleting and then has to also come with a proof from their independent DFI.
So you will suggest that Advocate Johnson and Matala lied under oath?
From our point of view, we can confirm that because we have the joint statement as well as 10 statements from whoever
in paragraph
handled and dealt
237,
with the cell phones,
you seem
and
to
also the common sense
suggest that the
as
number
to
of
maybe tell us
or rather
that
in statement
we
used
were
to
the
government
ones
matters,
that
the
were
cases and the
interested
opinions members of the
in every
PKTT, which
bit
you say
and
are not
piece
coincidental,
of
and you
information
say that they were
that we
orchestrated
might find
direct response
in
to the
those
work that the
phones,
PKTT has
then
been
it
doing
will be
in
defeating our own
counterintelligence.
purpose. If then we will
Do you just briefly want to take us
we conducted the
matters
operation.
and
We were
why
not
you
aware
arrived
that
at that conclusion?
the subject of investigation might be a person of interest to so many people and institutions that might at the later stage be interested in the cell phones. But for our investigation, it will be defeating our own investigation if we can delete even a full stop in one of those gadgets.
But phone of Malala, which was found in the cell,
on the 26th
did you also do some forensic audit?
That is correct, Chair.
After that, we had picked
do you confirm that
there are a number of cases that
Mr. Brown, Mokgotsi, and the minister
that were open,
conversation
most of them during the busiest month of
any
2024,
arrest affected?
December, against
You speak about it in 155. That was not about
won't say
Stanford.
really PKTT, I will say GCI.
According to, thank you, according to our analysis of the communication, we confirm that flows from the discussion of IPID expected to effect some arrests. And then as then it comes towards the end as a response to the discussion that is starting later on as I presented on my statement. Hence then I concluded in my statement that it cannot be possible that that arrest was related to the issues.
So Minister Knight under oath was talking about
I could pursue it against members of the PKTT.
Unless then there can be a proof like we are producing in the form of that communication and interaction and responsibility.
So do you confirm that there are journalists who are also involved in this kind of activities, these cartels?
Also, there was
we have identified some that we believe that they might be part of the communication department and then the investigation is still
in your own opinion, the disbandment of PKTT was to protect the cartels?
Up to so far, we are convinced based on the reasons contained in my statement that before the first takedown on the 6th of December, one had never received any complaint or any negative issue around the PKTT. So it came as a surprise, but then with the understanding that the only reason might be that the PKTT
the National Commissioner, when he came, he said you're going to give us names of the politicians you are investigating. Are you able to share those names of politicians who might be involved in corruption that you're investigating?
As indicated during my testimony, Honorable Chair, that as per the legal framework, we are not allowed to identify a subject of investigation until the investigation is finalized. And then,
thank you so much, honorable members.
Any judge?
The next speaker is Mbangazitha.
But if he doesn't have any closing remarks, Chair, that would be the end of my evidence.
He will give those remarks tomorrow after the last question. Can we?
Sorry, Chair, it's not my evidence. I'm reminded, but my question is the reading of evidence.
Can we give
Very well.
This is very brilliant.
Is the witness also allowed to capture?
Yeah, he is. Let me tell you why we must do this. The women of South Africa, in the generations of our forebears, have never had this opportunity and have never dreamt about it. In fact, it was inconceivable. There was not even a television station for African people.
Chairperson, good morning to you and Cheryl Kumar. I must start by apologizing that I've been in and out yesterday and I'm in consultation with my on the 23rd of February. So I don't mean any disrespect when I come in this meeting. The first thing I would like to raise with you generally is that I appreciate the fact that you're saying you act in the
paper state. Why? We regime,
what is expected of them, and that's why we put institutions like IPIT to look at that kind of thing. And in a situation of Matala where it says his children were put on the floor in front of the gun, and the wife was assaulted and all of that, you will agree with me that if that happened, that would be wrong. It is an unacceptable conduct that no African child should be subjected to. The fact that the case has not been opened doesn't mean it didn't happen. And I'm not saying it happened, but if it happened, it's something that we should be willing to condemn. And then when it was uttered by Matala, for sure, you would have developed some interest to understand it really happened in a manner in which Matala. Thank you, good morning, as remember. Indeed, we try by all means to be as professional as possible because we are developing the culture of thorough investigation and developing the culture of engaging whoever the person of interest is. We, after the evidence then by Mr. Matala, indeed one did revisit the reports and then discussion with the operational commander to confirm. But as the honorable member is fully pointing out, if there are allegations maybe that are beyond our view from the reports that we received from the team, Mr. Matala then is allowed to come forward, not to us, but through the structures like IPIT to make complete. Thanks, General. When you got arrested at the airport, how do you feel about it, that you get to be subjected to that kind of treatment as a senior police officer? Did you know about it before? And why do you think they treated you the way they did? Because ordinarily, when a person is senior like you, who is not necessarily affiliative, who you can easily make an appointment with through the lawyer for you to appeal, and so on and so forth. Well, what really transpired?
Thank you for remember. It did not feel right. One had to look back at the investment that one has done in his own integrity for the past 34 years. But then one luckily had a clue, and then one had to understand it as a project targeting the reputation, because already the campaign was on targeting both the KTT as well as myself, because I'm in charge of both environment division as well as the KTT. It did not feel well, but then one had to accept it as it was clear that the objective is really to, because if we compare out of all the rest of the junior officers were called. I'm the only one who was not called, who was then arrested at the airport the way it happened.
And you will agree with me that arrests like that are not conducted by senior police officers, like a general coming to arrest a general. Ordinarily, it will be a very junior member of the police junior who comes and effects the arrest.
Yes, I agree, Honorable Member. It was junior members, even the senior investigating officer was not present. So the whole SAPS that is working at the airport was activated. One could hear the discussion then from the arresting officers from IDEX as we are leaving, thanking the chief commander and the station commander of the airport for well executed operation. So it was something that was not supposed to be done like that, but it did happen as planned.
Do you know the junior wellness status?
Yes, I know my arresting officer.
Is there a sergeant in the PKT?
A sergeant in the PKT, they might be one, I cannot but recall as of then. The one that is coming on to my mind as I thought is the one who was team from the intelligence collection side.
Now that you know this junior arresting officer, did you send any of the PKPT members to the Eastern Cape to surveillance the arresting officer's residence?
No, I've never done that.
Was there ever such an allegation brought to attention that there is a PKPT member who is surveilling the house of the arresting officer?
No, I've never received such a complaint. I would have attended to it.
And you will agree that if such a thing happens, it will be somehow something that seeks to, in a way, intimidate the arresting officer or the witness in your language. That is correct, Honorable Chair, and we have to discourage it if it indeed happens. But then one is not in control of, or one cannot say whichever environment is investigating whatever cannot be different because of that. But if it's done for the purpose of intimidating the arresting officer, it needs to be condemned. It's not right.
General, are you aware of the Inspector General of Intelligence findings against you and members of the management of the crime intelligence? And this report is which makes certain findings of the report.
Other than what one picked up on the media, there is no official report, and it's not even supposed to be brought to our attention. That one has just
Do you have a security clearance?
Yes, I have two of them.
And then that report suggests that one of those security clearance was fraudulent and thereby invalid.
It is not true, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. The first security clearance was issued to me, and after crime intelligence has conducted their vetting and investigation since 2018 when I applied, and then the process continued up until then before my appointment, when then the National Commissioner inquired to how far with the process, and then they finalized the process, and then I was issued then with the security clearance.
You spoke about some members of SAPS trying to destabilize the Swartz murder case. Got involved in an attempt to destabilize this case. Is there anyone who's arrested?
The whole investigation around the allegations of obstructing the process of justice is underway. It's a very wide investigation because it starts from the threats that were made against the members during the paid application stage, right throughout the operation of the 6th. So it is a very wide investigation, but the dockets, some of the dockets are already with the NPA for decision.
Another allegation we made is that there were senior members of SAPS who were mingling with the implicated parties or some members of the cartel. And what made many of us so interested in your appearance is that the National Commissioner, when he came and General Mkwana, when they came in, they said you were going to give us more meat on many things that they've said, including giving us names of the people who might be implicated in some of these things. Who of the senior members of SAPS was mingling with the cartels? And in which event were they found mingling together?
the issue of mingling, let me first start, Honorable Chair, maybe then reminding the House on what I said yesterday. There is a thin line between the members of the cartel or any syndicate and then wanting to paint the picture that they are closer to the high-ranking officials or politicians, and also between them being working together. So, as I've indicated, that is still part of the investigation. The senior officers are identified, and then the investigation to determine how far the relationship is. It is ongoing.
Yeah, but who are these senior officials who mingle with persons of interest? I mean, I remember one of the witnesses in Madlanga said they got extremely scared when they were invited into a social gathering, and then they found some of these people in a party, even playing music from their phones, as a way of demonstrating that actually they are very familiar with this environment they found themselves in. It shouldn't be a very difficult thing to share with the South Africans that this senior officer was found in a house or in a party of a person of interest. The person of interest we may not mention, but a senior official who's commanding this junior investigating officers, junior in terms of rank compared to them. Some even get instructions from them on how certain things need to be done. The next thing, they find this tax sitting with senior police officials. We should be able to get names, because that is the whole idea why we are here. We are not here to just search in the air. We want something that is touchable, something tangible, so that when we leave here, we are able to make the necessary recommendations and say whatever needs to happen forever. If we find that indeed there is some involvement from people who are involved in destroying the future of our children.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable members. Referring to the evidence under oath led by witnesses A, B, and C in Madlanga Commission, they are referring to some events where then they will be called to attend some social gatherings, and then they will find senior officers also being together with the persons of interest in the investigation. They mentioned the provincial commissioner of Gauteng, the medicinal Shibiri that I referred on yesterday. I'm not sure, because I do not set that as part of their statement as part of my panel.
When did the National Commissioner ask you to take over the investigation which you brought to Madlanga to your side? When was that?
I might not have the exact date, but it is supposed to be around October, November, when then he invited me to a meeting where there was a complaint about that investigation, and then the complainant was venting the frustrations and unhappiness about the fact that the docket was investigated by the team that was reporting for the Deputy National Commissioner of Crime Detection, which the allegations during the meeting where he is very close to a person whom the complainant is suspecting to be involved in the kidnapping. It was during that meeting that then the National Commission directed that I took over that investigation. So that will be October, November 2025. October, November 2024. Because we had our operation on the 6th of December. When a national commissioner was asked the question about whether he knows Madlala or not, early 2025, he said, no, I did not know who the owner of the company was. I also did not know who Vusimuzi Madlala is. But he referred Vusimuzi Madlala to you in October, November 2024. And when asked whether he knows Vusimuzi Madlala, he says, no, I don't know the person. And that is in 2025. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Even myself, I did not know him. He was, I think, on my affidavit, I introduced that subject in one of the paragraphs, that the name was introduced to us for the first time during that meeting, and then we had to start our investigation by identifying the person. From the National Commission's point of view, the name was mentioned by the complainant in our presence, both of us. So I won't be in a position to indicate if we knew him before that meeting. No, but he referred to you in October 2024. When he asked early 2025, he says, I don't know such a person. Yes, Honorable Chair, as I'm indicating, one cannot be sure whether knowing was in reference to knowing a person physically, so, or knowing that there is a Vusima as the name, as I've mentioned, was mentioned to both of us by the complainant during that meeting. From my side, I can confirm that it was for the first time hearing about the name. So they referred the matter in relation to the case of Mr. Jerry Buhasha. That is correct. Yesterday, you spoke about coincidences. You are a head of crime intelligence. You can't speak about coincidences to us, because if you've observed such pattern and you are suspicious that there is something
Una kaifin.